AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, we're going to glom on to our Wednesday morning show, talking about HCG testing for the detection of cancer. We had as our featured guest at that time, Dr. Emil Shandel, runs the AML, the American Metabolic Laboratory, down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We did cover the topic of how it would be that HCG could possibly be your earliest detection that cancer is present. We're going to rehash some of that today, in keeping with the fact that we are now the official draw station for, I think, the entire state of Pennsylvania, but for sure western Pennsylvania. And I will report how that is going to be conducted. We have all of our laboratory materials in-house. We are ready to go if HCG testing turns out to be something that either you or someone you know might want to pursue. Well, you want to pay attention today. In the course of our discussion today with you, if you want to call in to ask a question or to make a comment, the number, of course, as always, will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll give that number additionally throughout the hour. As the week marches on, you're going to be paying attention to us on Friday. Dr. David Brownstein returns. Of course, she's been here many times before, but he has so many things to talk about. You know, he's got 10 books. We're just picking another book. It's a new one. New in that we've never talked about it before, but also new in that it's the newest one to roll off of Dr. Brownstein's assembly line. He only wrote it in August, according to him, while he was on a little bit of a vacation. But we're going to be talking about The Soy Deception, his most recent tome, and I hope you enjoy spending some time with us. Most people really do enjoy Dr. Brownstein. His messages are very powerful, and the way he delivers those messages is extremely understandable, non-complex, and quite enjoyable. So on Friday, it'll be Dr. David Brownstein. Up and coming, of course, there will be Roland Thomas in the weeks ahead. Susan Smith-Jones will be back. I have been in contact with a couple of the public relations people. There are other guests scheduled, and we will bring them to you. Just right now, I have none to report. Now, MCG testing, folks, is in full bloom now. We have procured the device. We now have the device in office, and as such, MCG testing is going to be frequently obtainable here. If you're planning on making an appointment to see me for any other reasons anyway, try to schedule that on either the second or fourth week of the month. Those are the 2 weeks out of the month that the testing device is here, and I can assure you that we'll just automatically do MCG testing when you come in to have and make that appointment. So it'll be done no fuss, no muss. It's just a 6-minute test anyway, so you'll be able to get very accurate information serving as a foundation for maybe a treatment plan that would emerge to help correct what might need to be corrected with respect to the coronary arteries that are really displayed in a way that, in a non-invasive fashion, we can tell how much and what level of disease is present. So anyway, MCG testing, of course, is available now. Now, we'll have a monthly day for the radio listeners who might not necessarily want to see me in consultation, but would really like to be able to avail themselves of the MCG testing. It is an insurance-covered item, of course, and depending on the level of disease, it certainly can be conducted every 3 months, as as soon as every 3 months, and as far out as 1 year. At a minimum, this test is allowed to be done each and every year. The insurer will gladly pay for it to determine what your coronary artery disease status is, and then hopefully put into play a plan to correct it. MCG testing now will have an announced the date for the month of November, but I will be doing it shortly. Brand new news when it comes to MCG testing. There was a time, I'm going to say it's about 4 years ago now, 4 to 5, where actually I had office hours and met many patients out there in the eastern side of the city. I can tell you yesterday that I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, because I was sitting in the Squirrel Hill tunnels and not moving for about 20 minutes, and not understanding why. It was only until I emerged that I did remember that you-know-who was in town. And yes, my biggest nightmare, about being trapped inside of the Squirrel Hill tunnel came to pass. Anyway, the reason why I was in that Squirrel Hill tunnel at approximately 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon was to visit with our good friend Dr. Oliver Caminos, who now has new facilities out in Monroeville. And that's the point I'm getting to. His old office building, which is completely unoccupied right now, is prominently displayed right along the main drag out there, but he outgrew it. And so literally moving across the street, he has ample area now to conduct many things. And we decided yesterday was we were going to bring MCG testing to those of you out in the east. Talking about eastern Pittsburgh, talking about the Monroeville area, those of you who consulted with me a while ago, but just couldn't muster up the courage to driving all the way out here in the South Hills, well, we're bringing MCG testing to you, and it will begin in the month of November, and the date for that kickoff is November 22nd. Let me check to make sure I'm right about that. Yes, it will be Tuesday, November 22nd. Those of you who are out in the eastern part of the Pittsburgh area, saying to yourself, oh, I'm never going to get that test done because I'm just not going to drive. Although, look, I understand the drive. In fact, look what happened yesterday. The nightmare occurred. I was trapped in the tunnel. My goodness gracious, I can appreciate it. But we're coming to you. We're bringing it back. The new facilities of MedHealth Services are so large that they can easily accommodate all that we need to do out there. And so we'll be having a presence, a monthly presence, out there in the Monroeville area at MedHealth Services, and we'll be announcing more finite issues about there's a test as time marches on. But with the date announced, you may call in to sign up, so to speak, to be tested out in the Monroeville area. We're happy to be able to come out and be with you once again. Okay. Product-wise, of course, our two biggies here. I'm very proud to have introduced to the Pittsburgh area the BAC, Bioengineered Algae Concentrate product, made by BioAge in collaboration with both Dr. Michael Kiriak, a Soviet scientist who emigrated from the Soviet Union to, of all places, Canada, and then met a good friend of ours, Roland Thomas. We're going to be talking a lot about these products and other use for them other than just the daily supplementation need. But I will tell you that I call this product the all-inclusive. It's my Cancun, Mexico. When I go to Cancun, I'm always looking for an all-inclusive hotel or resort because food and drink and lodging is all wrapped into one. Well, in this case, all that you need in the supplement being wrapped into one turns out to be ultimately a pretty economical way of accomplishing that goal. Of course, we do add in the fact that even though all the fats, all the essential fatty acids are obtained in the F-free product of the bioalgae concentrate, the proportionality is what's lacking. Pretty tough to get a 4-to-1 algae out there, and so we strongly urge you to take a second product. That would be the 4-to-1 oil. This is manufactured and put together by Body Bio, Ed Kane's company. Got to get Ed back here. So much has transpired since he was last here. but the product which we just can't keep in-house enough, we keep selling out. We're sending it all over the place. Relatively inexpensive product, but it contains that ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. I'm amazed. People that I meet outside, they see me and they talk to me about the ratio. They know the numbers. They know linoleic, the alpha-linolenic. This is the technical terminology for these basement oils. And of course, on the linoleic side, which is the omega-6 side, it is sunflower, safflower, primrose. These are the big three when it comes to the omega-6s and the linoleic acid. And on the alpha-linolenic side, the omega-3 side, either flax or chia are the better representatives of that group. And of course, they need to be in this concentration, this ratio of 4 to 1 of omega-6 to omega-3. And I know you've heard it before, but I'm just drilling it in there all the more. Fish oil, we hardly talk about it anymore. It will ultimately be hazardous to your health. I hope you've been able to wrestle with your demons enough that the next time that you have to fill up on your essential fatty acids, that you'll move to the correct oil. What the heck? The both oils. Well, yeah, playing to the visual. Let's do this. We're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come back and talk more about this HCG testing. Theoretically, I'll try to re-explain it, hopefully in as equally as good terms as Dr. Emil Shandel did, and then talk about the testing, which begins today in my office. Be right back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Here in a Wednesday morning version of the show, a little drizzly out there. We knew it was going to happen. It is now upon us. Things are going to get a little chilly around here. Of course, drizzly today. Hopefully, I'm told, at least a bright, if not a slightly chilly weekend in store. Today, we're going to pick up on where we left off on Monday. We had a action-packed show talking to the gentleman who runs the only laboratory in the entire country that we know of. We try to collaborate and think, anybody else doing this testing? And he said no. I'm talking about Dr. Emil Shandel, who runs American Metabolic Laboratories located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, he does all the standard testing that any laboratory would do. So, I mean, if you live in the Fort Lauderdale area, you could easily see where if you had to get, regular blood testing and your cholesterol testing and C-reactive protein and the Big Ten labs that we put out and mention here often. All that, of course, could be done in his laboratory. However, he does one thing extra special. In fact, he's the only laboratory in the country that does. He does very accurate and precise and very sensitive testing for HCG. Now, the reason he does it is a bit of a stretch for those of you who have never heard of the trophoblastic theory. I'm going to tell you that this theory is really resonating well in the alternative medical community. It dates back to 1904 with a publication by an embryologist at the time, Dr. Beard. And Dr. Beard first heard about the trophoblastic theory back then. Since then, it has been picked up by two other very famous doctors. One doctor in the 1950s and 60s, name of Dr. Kelly, actually an orthodontist of all things, who picked up on this and combined a diet approach to the treatments of cancer and other serious diseases. But most recently, the light has come to bear on a Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. He has his clinic in New York, but he has taken the work of Beard and Kelly to another level. He has gained prominence in none other than the Susan Summers book, Knockout, that described many of the famous cancer doctors throughout the country. Nicholas Gonzalez and his trophoblastic approaches are liberally mentioned in that, and it's because of Suzanne Summers shining the light in that direction that this has taken a foothold in what I have to say would be modern times. If it's from 1904, now here we are in 2011, but it is raging. The trophoblastic theory of cancers works something like this. I hope I do it justice, but trophoblasts are very active cells. They are found once a zygote is formed from sperm meeting egg in development of any mammal has the proliferation of trophoblastic cells that begin right after that union has occurred. As the embryo is developing, a set of cells, the trophoblastic cells, begin to develop and completely go crazy in terms of multiplication and division, way out of proportion to any normal cells. This is, of course, in keeping with the embryological development of a human being, which is way out of proportion. Obviously, something that grows that much in 9 months has taken a tack that other cells don't take. Well, the trophoblasts of that epoch in the female anatomy and physiology yields the ability for trophoblastic hormones, in particular HCG. That stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. We have mentioned it in other contexts before. Remember the Kevin Trudeau weight loss cure diet, HCG, was this substance that could be injected or taken sublingually. But back to its natural state, it is found in pregnancy. It is called the pregnancy hormone. When a female thinks she may be pregnant, and she goes and has a blood test to determine if in fact she is pregnant, it is HCG and a lot of HCG that's circulating in that woman's bloodstream at the time. All due to the trophoblastic activity, which has this multiple, very rapid division associated with early embryological development, which has neovascularization, meaning the ability to make brand new blood cells, and number 3, a burrowing and implantation component that allows the newly formed embryo to implant itself in the lining of the uterus. Now, just think for a moment, and of course, that is the natural embryological development of any human being. These cells ultimately become and form the placenta, which develops not just minute blood vessels, but major vessels, fully developed arteries and veins that literally penetrate and permeate the placenta to be able to connect the fetus to the mother's bloodstream in a quite very appropriate way. Now, if you think of those components of rapid growth, neovascularization, and burrowing and implantation, which in a controlled way is actually how every single one of us got here, you actually in the same breath are able to describe a cancer. And in fact, the trophoblastic theory, as first proposed by Dr. Beard back in 1904, did just that. The embryological development of trophoblasts worked in a way that I had to be prompted by Dr. Shandel to make me recall that which was taught to me in embryology in medical school. But once these trophoblasts begin to develop in greater fashion, they then begin to concentrate their ideal localization in the embryo, and there is a migration of, 80% of the trophoblasts end up in the gonad tissue of whether it's a male or a female child. If it's a female child, it's going to be in the ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus. If it's a male, it's going to be in the testicular, seminal vesicle, prostate division of the anatomy. 80% of all trophoblasts end up there and then become dormant, but 20% of the trophoblastic activity in the trophoblastic cells migrate to every other part of the body, every single part of the body, where they too lie dormant and become indistinguishable, can't even be found cells for a long, long time, maybe forever. But, according to the theory, should oxygen tension lower for any reason below the Otto Warburg 35% threshold, this is the cancer threshold, the theory goes on to say that these trophoblasts reemerge, become active again, start magnitudes of cell division completely out of proportion to regular cells. They develop new blood vessels, just like the original trophoblasts did in utero. They burrow into tissue and invade it, just as they did in the embryological development of all human beings as they burrowed into the lining of the uterus. But these cells absolutely do resemble cancer and become the cancers no matter where those cancers may be. This is the theory as proposed by Beard, then picked up by Kelly, and now readdressed by Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. And it has held water, it has held weight, and it is allowing us, as we discussed on Monday, to literally have a new kind of a test, a non-invasive test. Doesn't require any x-rays, which, by the way, Dr. Shandel, if you can remember his discussion about how he came to be involved with this kind of testing, he originally worked in x-ray suites doing all of these x-ray studies, and he became very concerned about the exposure patients are asked to undergo when they are being tested for the various scans and CT scans and the like. The amount of radiation exposure he thought was way too high. I agree with him 100%. And it was then that he became involved with looking at the trophoblastic theory and finally developing blood testing and urine testing to be able to detect these sometimes very minute amounts of HCG, which should not be apparent anywhere in the human body outside of a female during pregnancy. So if they're detected at any other time in either a male or a female's life, they are problematic. There's something going on, and it could very well indicate that there is a cancer in play. This is the trophoblastic theory as has been elaborated by Beard. Now, you all can remember, maybe you can't, but I'll readdress, bring his name to your attention once again. We had a gentleman here about a year and a half ago. His name was Bill Henderson. Bill is a unique little guy. I get his newsletter all the time. Bill has written books on how it is that you can deal with your own cancer literally at home. There is a role for that, I imagine. I mean, there's so many people that don't want to pursue the conventional treatment approaches to their cancer. They just will not have any part of chemotherapy, radiotherapy. By the way, that number is growing exponentially. But, of course, finding doctors in their areas might be extremely difficult, especially in rural areas and rural parts of this country, And so Bill Henderson has absolutely played a role in helping these individuals sort of take control of their own situation. One of the things he'd recommended was to get a test for HCG, because he is familiar with the trophoblastic theory as originally elaborated by Dr. Beard. And the only test that was available, and the one that he proposes, because you can do it on your own, is a test run, it's called the Navarro HCG test. It is not run in this country. The test is run in the Philippines. And I see a problem here two ways. One, with this particular testing, you do it all. You are your own tester. You have to buy acetone, filter papers. You have to process this stuff. And I never like it when an unprofessional person is meant to become involved with laboratory testing. It sometimes they can end up completely confused, and a great chance for error is present. Be that as it may, the test itself is crude enough that it has a number of false positives associated with it, because not only will it detect the presence of HCG, which obviously could mean the presence of a cancer, it can't distinguish between HCG, LH, which is luteinizing hormone, FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, or the thyroid stimulating hormone called TSH. And so with all those possibilities floating around, there is a chance to interpret this as being a positive test that you have a cancer, when in fact you need not have that cancer at all. I see that as a big problem, and for that reason I have never been one to espouse the use of HCG testing via the Navarro method done in the Philippines. Just didn't ever seem to, with all those false positives and chance for error, that it's something that I should be involved with. But now comes American Metabolic Laboratories in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with Dr. Shandel, and the possibilities now become really honed down, because the error is gone. This is now not conducted by the patient themselves. It's conducted by a laboratory. Specimens are sent, and the laboratory deals with making whatever changes to the substances that they need to in order to get the most accurate test. Professionals are doing it, and you are taken out of the mix in terms of preparing the specimen. That's really not the cards for you. Secondarily, there are 3 tests that are done in a cancer profile, which are specifically directed to the HCG component by itself. 2 of them are blood tests. 1 of them is a urine. And it utilizes all of what Navarro testing did. However, it also utilizes immunofluorescence and radioluminescence to be able to be the most accurate and minuscule identifier of small amounts of HCG. So small, it's almost unbelievable to me. I asked Dr. Shandel specifically what he had mentioned in a previous show, and he answered in the affirmative again, so I'll bring it to your attention. This test is so sensitive that it can pick up a cancer that has clustered to a level of as small as 12 cells. This is phenomenal. This is unbelievable when one considers that it takes billions of cells to equal the amount of tumor activity that could be placed on the head of a ballpoint pen. It would take billions to get there. No cancer has ever been detected at that stage, and certainly no cancer is detectable at 12-cell stage by any conventional testing that I know of other than this HCG test. So now there you have it. That is the trophoblastic theory. That is the general discussion about how it would be that this test could and should be done. We're going to take a short break. Maybe you have some questions about this that have emerged. Feel free to give us a call at 412-825-6262. When we come back, we're going to be talking and concentrate on the actual laboratory analysis, which, as of today, begins in my office. If you should choose to do it, I'll be describing how we're going to be performing that test when we return. Be back in a moment.
Have you been been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complaint list? Even if your doctor asks you what you eat, the recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What if you learned of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Fruit of the Spirit. The blessings of Fruit of the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith? Let Fruit of the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Wednesday version show. We're talking about HCG testing for cancer. It is the most sensitive marker that I'm aware of possible anywhere in the world, and it's available now in one laboratory here in the United States. We have a relationship with that laboratory. We're going to be talking about testing, how you can become involved if you choose and you'd like to be able to pursue this testing. We're here to help, and we'll be able to act as the draw station and send that specimen off for analysis. We do have a knock on the door, so why don't we let him in the store? Hello and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Good morning, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
Hi, I just wanted to ask a quick question about something that was in the news yesterday regarding cancer.
Would that be the vitamin E?
That would be it.
How did I know? Look, it caught my attention too. And had I not had good Dr. Brian Peskin training, I would be very concerned about that because, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't catch it, our listener has picked up on the fact that a study has been done that reveals that there is a connection, a study. Remember the word study. A study has been done that shows there is a connection between, they didn't give me the dosage of vitamin E consumption, but prostate cancer. And they said there was a 17% increase in men who were taking vitamin E over an extended basis. Now, I'd say this once again, that this was a study, and it was not an experiment, okay? These studies, I don't know how many different, and I'm looking at scientific literature with a jaundiced eye, if you know what I mean. I can remember studies suggest one thing, the next year a study showed the opposite, and this ping pong match is going to go on now. So I don't believe that, I'm going to say that there is a relationship because of the study, and I know of the errors put in the studies and biases in studies. I'm going to fall back on the Brian Peskin approach to how to look at scientific literature, and I'll be waiting for the experiment and not the study. Okay?
Now, this came up, I think, about 8 years ago, where they were saying vitamin E, I don't remember the exact thing, but almost the same thing, not in prostate cancer, but just in general, was not good. And they didn't say anything about the correct form, the tocopherol.
Yeah, I know. That was the day of the D-alpha tocopherol. That was.
Yeah, they were using the synthetic, and they were just saying that it's bad for your health and it clogs your arteries. Well, that's synthetic, but they didn't, make a correction and say the correct form. But
This article that I saw, and of course the real scientific paper, mine included, didn't ever delineate whether it's synthetic versus natural, D-alpha versus the gammas. This is that cloudy area that they get newspaper space. They get the point that they can publish that and put it in the newspaper. Everybody gets upset. Everybody at least gets concerned, if not upset. Meanwhile, it is so loaded with the potential for harm. I can't buy into it. I don't think it's accurate, and I'm going to wait on the first experiment and the heck with the studies, because when we finally do read this, and I will read it, and I'll bring it to your attention, there'll be pitfalls that we'll be able to point at, and you just hinted on one, which happens to do with what form of vitamin. Is it D-alpha? Is that D-alpha tocopherol? Is that synthetic D-alpha tocopherol? Hey, that stuff may very well lead to prostate cancer, but they never delineated it in the article that I read. Did they do it in yours?
I don't think.
No, they didn't mention it.
What type? No.
Okay, so as for now, that's how I view it. There's something that's not being spoken. I don't think that naturally derived vitamin E coming from the gamma tocopherol tocotrienol source has any of these consequences to pay. Synthetic anything has a problem, folks. So
if anything, I thought vitamin E was very supportive of
absolutely, absolutely. So don't you let it shake you at all. You're very solid out there. But for other listeners who aren't, I'll wait for the experiment and at least wait for a chance to read the entire study. And if they were knowledgeable enough to mention that it was, and they actually would state, which I find it almost impossible to believe, that they would say, we use synthetic D-alpha tocopherol. I just can't see them using and forming the words. Can you?
No.
No. So you may have stumbled on your own explanation. It raised my eyebrow. That's why the moment you said it, I went, I bet she's talking about the vitamin E study. There'll be more on this, folks. I'll bring it to you as I learn more. But for right now, that's how I'm looking at it, and I hope you do the same.
And just like years past, also how they, how the medical industry really is against antioxidants in general when you're following
cancer protocol.
People who have a cancer.
Yeah. I'm very familiar with it.
Against
which
it
also boogie land. That's completely out in the stratosphere, but they get away with that. And the heck with it. I mean, hopefully a little bit of common sense comes in.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Great question. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay. You two can give us a call. Anything on your mind is okay with me, 412-825-6262. Now, back to the HCG testing. I had come up with a list because I was sitting down over the weekend, Johnny, on who would be the folks that should and maybe want to consider getting HCG testing. And so I came up with 5 different groups of people. I mentioned this list to the doctor the other day. I'm going to mention it to you all because I think this show is going to be the show I recommend people revisit. If they have any questions about this, happen to meet them on the street or something, this happens all the time, I'm going to refer them to the archives of this show, not the Monday show. It's going to be this show. And so for that reason, let me go down through my list. I have 5 groups. Here they are. If you are in group 1, which would be people that really are completely cancer-free. They have no idea that they have any cancer, but they're worried about a cancer. How best to be able to put their mind at ease is by taking the HCG test to determine if, in fact, there is any detectable amounts of HCG in those 3 tests. 2 blood, 1 urine, and to be positive for cancer, you have to have at least 2 of the 3 in elevated amounts. If you just have 1 of the 3, it is a bust. There is no cancer present. Now, to me, without exposing yourself to any radiation, and it would be fruitless to be able to pursue identification of tumors where you have no other reason to get an analysis except your own interest about it. I will say there's an 80% predictability factor. It's not 100% because there are 20% of all cancers that for some reason don't generate enough HCG to be detectable, especially in those early stages when if you don't have any cancer, it would be in a minute amount anyway. But nonetheless, 80% possibility of being able to detect is a good ratio. I'll take 80 to 20 anytime. Anyway, If you come back positive with that test, you are in a conundrum if you espouse any of the conventional therapies, because surely you would run to your doctor saying to them, my goodness, my HCG test came back positive. What are we going to do? And the doctor will look at you dumbfounded, wondering, what the heck are you taking HCG tests to assess whether you have cancer or not? They'll have a tough time getting over that one. And even if they can buy into the trophoblastic theory, which is medically agreed with, at least about the trophoblast and the fact that they migrate, that's known, they still won't be able to use any of their therapies. Remember, they only have 3. Surgery, what the heck would they cut out? Chemo, they could never justify using that deadly stuff. Or radio, what would they blast? So if you turn out positive, you have to pursue an alternative approach, which absolutely there are many out there. We offer those here, as well as many other physicians throughout the country. But if you're negative, you just have to keep in mind that there is a 20% chance of an error. That's category 1. Category 2. What if you currently have cancer now? And you're not lucky enough, and by the way, only very few people are, to have a marker to follow, like CEA, like CA19-9, like CA125, like CA15-3. These are markers, biomarkers that are measurable and are allowing patients to follow the course of their treatment by looking for the rise and the fall of the marker. Now, there's only a small percentage of patients that have the opportunity to follow that marker. HCG could be that marker for you, and for that reason, if you have a cancer now, I would say it's an ideal way, it's an ideal additional treatment to use or additional study to have done. It's better said. Now, if you but if you currently have the cancer, as I mentioned, and you don't have a marker, find out if you can have one. If you have one, the third category was you can follow your treatment response with HCG testing, and know when the HCG goes to 0 that there's a good chance that the cancer is now completely eradicated. In fact, I would make that assessment as the 100% sure way of knowing that the cancer was eradicated. The fourth category that I think should want to consider HCG testing is if you had a cancer. If you're a so-called cancer survivor. Of course, the presidential candidate, Herman Cain, came up during our discussion on Monday. He beat stage 4 liver and colon cancer. Wow, is that a great feat to have accomplished? However, both Dr. Shandel and myself were amazed to think, hey, I wonder what his HCG testing would reveal, because we know that metastasis has been set other places that are just looming out there, and at least there'd be a marker to show someone who thought they had become a cancer survivor that in fact the struggle was not over and they needed to be vigilant and to pull into another therapy that allowed them to eradicate, take this completely to 0. So if you had a cancer, you need to prove that you don't have that cancer by the most sensitive test I know, and anything that can be measured and detectable at a cluster of 12 cells or greater is the most sensitive test that I'm familiar with at all. The final category of testing is that if you have a cancer, one of the studies that are done in the cancer profile, which contains the 3 HCG tests, a CEA antigen, TSH, which is for thyroid issues that have a cancer relationship, GGTP, which is a very sensitive marker for liver cancer, DHEA, which we found out is definitely a marker for patients who have cancer. All of these are included with one additional test I had not heard of, which is called the PHI enzyme. Now, this enzyme is an invasiveness enzyme that allows cancers to spread easily, and as such, if it were to be present, it would connote a very aggressive form of cancer, allowing you to know that you need to be very aggressive with those treatments. and whether they be conventional or alternative, this would shed light on the level of concern for both you and your doctors. So, those are the 5 categories of testing that I think are out there. If you can think of another category, please let me know. And let's do this once again. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the specific issues about how you get this test accomplished, what the test includes, how we're going to be doing this here in the office, what the steps will be. We'll return in a moment and fill you in on that. Be back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on this Wednesday morning version of the show. We're talking about HCG testing, the fact that it follows a triple-plastic theory, which we've now gone over again, the settings where it would be more than likely that you might want to consider this kind of testing. And in a moment here, we're going to be getting into the how you should actually become involved, if you'd like to, in getting this testing accomplished. We do have a knock on the door. Come on in the store. Hello and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
I just have a question. You did bring up about that they, even when I looked HCG up, they use it for a weight loss product. Would that be harmful for someone that would be taking that and ingesting it, or would it cause any ill effect? Or
no, I refer you to the book. Kevin Trudeau wrote a book entitled "The Weight Loss Cure," and when he wrote the book, he got the work done by Dr. Simeons from he's a British physician who worked at a weight loss clinic and ran it in Rome, Italy in the 1950s and 60s. The documentation is easily obtained on the internet by dialing up and Googling up pounds and inches, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Pounds and inches, and you'll read the Simeons' complete elaboration of HCG, which is completely safe, completely healthy, if taken either sublingually, which was not in the day of Simeons, but even injectable forms, which of course he did use. So the answer to your question is no. HCG, especially in those amounts, will not be harmful. And without getting into it, if those people who want to lose weight use this HCG technique, there is a potential to lose a lot of weight in a short period of time, which has to be taken with HCG for your protection. But right now I'm going to just bow out of answering any more other than it's safe if taken in the right way, and allow me to proceed hopefully to completing our discussion for today. Fair enough?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay. We'll do the HCG, folks, on another day with respect to weight loss. Okay, so now you're deciding whether you are deciding to make a move right now or into the future, or if you know somebody that you think might be interested in this, refer them to this show on the archives. We're going to complete this show by talking about what you can do at this very moment if you would like to be tested. You call the office, you schedule a time any day of the week to come in here and purchase the testing kit from us. You'll need an explanation of this kit. Why? Because the urine component of this has to be, here's 3 words, first morning's void, clean catch, midstream. These are the medical ways of describing the fact that you must do this urine test yourself at home. You must at least, not the test, you must process the specimen at home. We need to explain that to you. It's not difficult at all, but it must be first morning's void. That's why it has to be done at home. It must be midstream, and it must be clean catch. And we'll talk to you specifically and make sure that you understand how you make the specimen meet the needs of the test. Once you do that, by the way, and you should decide to do that on the same day you would come in to get your blood work, because we'll be doing this certain days of the week when our nurse is available. She's here at least one day of the week to be able to process these tests. And so the 2 blood tests will be drawn on that day in the specimen. Well, they're not 2 separate draws. There's only 1 draw. Whatever blood they need in Fort Lauderdale, they get it from that 1 specimen. And from that point on, we can take the urine that you bring to us, have it appropriately packaged for transmission and transport to Florida via the UPS FedEx system, whatever we decide on, as well as the blood specimen, and those will arrive in Fort Lauderdale in the way that they were intended to be. You do not have to be your own tester. You will be your own obtainer of specimen, of a urine specimen, but when it comes to the blood and processing that urine, that'll be our job to do, and with that being done, that's how this test will be conducted. You can call starting today, because we do have all of the materials available. The number here is 724-942-3002. You may come in to purchase the kits any day of the week. You'll decide on performing the test on the same day that you'll actually have the blood draw, so that both the urine and blood specimens are packaged all in one styrofoam container that protects it and buffets it from any sudden jars or any blows to the packaging at all. The specimens are completely protected, and we'll send it off. It's our job to send it off to Fort Lauderdale for testing. When these results are available, and it literally takes a few days to get them, and that's all, we also can act, if you choose to do so, to advise and counsel you on what the results of all these tests are and how you can interpret this with respect to your own physical and medical status. And I think we're very proud to be a part of the American Metabolic Laboratories testing system. I don't know what they have available in other parts of the country, but I know we're it. We're the only testing facility, draw station for AML in this area, and we're happy to be a part of it. Give us a call if you want more information or if you want to call in to actually do the testing. 724-942-3002. Now, one final thing to pull it all together. It keeps getting lost in all the trophoblastic discussion, but I will leave you with a completely other aspect of the work of Beard and Kelly, and now taken up by Gonzalez, and that is the additional treatment step that goes along with this trophoblastic theories and actually has a therapeutic component to it that never seems to get discussed. Now, Dr. Shandel isn't a clinician that treats cancer, so I got to understand it. However, with the theories of Beard and Kelly, it is now also appreciated that cancer cells have a very tough coating of fibrin that makes it impenetrable to the immune system and to other ways that we utilize to try to conquer cancer. And one of those ways actually is chemotherapy. With that layer of protection around cancer cells, this fibrin needs to be removed. And what appears to do the job quite nicely are pancreatic enzymes. This gets lost in the conversation. We don't have nearly enough time today to discuss it, but I'll tell you, when I discuss cancer protocols with patients, we do discuss and will be discussing this component of their treatment step. You need to be aware of the use of pancreatic enzymes to tear off this fibrin shield that is around each of the cancer cells, and in so doing, allow whatever treatment you're into. And even if that is chemotherapy by your choice, the chemotherapy has difficulty penetrating the fibrin shield, which requires such higher doses of the chemotherapy because of it. Anyway, the pancreatic enzyme component, by the way, only pancreatic enzymes from New Zealand. If you can remember, these are glandulars coming from animals, and it's the complete gland, not just any hormones from the gland, the complete gland containing all the pancreatic enzymes in that gland, and you don't want to be buying any pancreatic enzymes that are manufactured from American livestock. This has to be, they come from pigs, by the way, has to be from New Zealand pigs and not American pigs. I'll let you go figure out why. I think you already know. All right, folks. Bongos in the background. I enjoy spending this time with you today. Hope you've learned a bit about the trophoblastic theory, how to use HCG testing. We are available to help you if you want to proceed in this testing by giving us a call at 724-942-3002. Don't forget, on Friday, Dr. David Brownstein here to talk about the soy deception. See you then. Bye now.